Hello and welcome back to the Wild Wild West edition of Hawks podcast. Our hopes and dreams are drifting away like a tumbleweed right now.
There was no gold in the mountains.
Yeah, even the 49ers tried and they exploded half their team trying to get out. But they still beat them Cowboys.
How about them Cowboys? But this is probably going to be pretty quick. I don't think we have much to say. Do you just want to give a quick synopsis of your game, and then I'll do mine, then we'll just run for these and we'll be done.
Yeah, I mean, okay, let's first of all, we didn't show up as good as we should have for that game. It was still winnable. The Rams are a completely different team when they're healthy. They got like all of their players back for our game, which is just like it's great, for the timing of that. And so there's a difference between a bad team and an injured team. The Rams are definitely one of the injured teams earlier, so now they should be a powerhouse. Um, and we were not ready for that. They also played games with the injury report with Puka Nakua, so Brian Flores had no answer in the first quarter, and then Puka was just shut down pretty much after that, which opened up some other guys. So overall, that was wrong defensively, along with tons of penalties, and then offensively, we Darnold just can't find anyone else besides Jefferson and Jones, and when they start putting everybody on them, that's when we just start to crumble. And it just got even worse with Darisaw being out because the time to throw had to be a lot shorter with him out. So lost him for the season. That's going to really suck. But we should have TJ Hawkinson back on Sunday, and reports are that he's feeling great, 100%. So hoping that will be good in the future. But the one thing that I was very adamant about, and Matt, I don't know if your opinion has changed on this, especially since Sunday, but the real score should have been 28-20. I was very adamant about that because there was a clear face mask on the safety. And for the refs to be able to decide the game in that point was not correct in my eyes because yes, we could have failed to get the touchdown. Yes, we could have failed to get the 2-point conversion, right? But to not have the team have the opportunity to do so with over a minute 30 left on the clock, I don't see it, and there's clear photo evidence. I don't know if you have it for this video, Matt,
It's
or
going
if
to be
it's
the
on the
next
next one.
video.
Next video, you
Mhm.
can look at next video where there's two refs. I think I just chose the one with the best line of sight that have clear line of sight of Darnold getting face masked, and neither of them decided to call it. It was also the referee crew that decided to take away two defensive touchdowns that we had against the Colts in our largest comeback in NFL history. So, and it was also the same crew that did the no call with the Rams in 2018 against the Saints. So clearly they're Rams fans. But that fact aside, anything could have happened in that game, and I believe that we had a chance to tie up that game with a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, and we should have been able to see at least that attempt without that face mask. But in the end, we really didn't play enough to win that game. Our defense could not touch Matthew Stafford. I think we had a total of two or three pressures the entire game. We never put him on his ass. He was upright. One of his pressures, he went out and threw a touchdown. So it was just not a good showing defensively. And KOC needs to just give up play calling because he cannot adjust. There's the stat that the first 15 plays of every game are the scripted plays, and we're first in the league in all but one category. In that other category, we're second in the league in. So we're great at scripted plays. And after the 15, we're like a bottom tier offense. So somebody needs to take over play calling from KOC because it does not work after the scripted plays. Um, and yeah, I think that we just gotta stick our hand back in the dirt and see what we can do and go hopefully make a splash play for defensive tackle. Um, or cornerback or somebody at this trade deadline. We definitely need to be buyers because if we can get somebody on a deal that lasts a couple years, JJ McCarthy will be ready to take over next year. And I think this could be another playoff contending team, not only this year, but next year as well. So that's all I got to say about my game. Did you want to touch yours first and then go through the rest, or?
So we need to work on your definition of quick. All I got to say for the Seattle game, Geno Smith sucks. like always. This game was 7-3 or 7-0. We had the ball at their goal line. Ball gets snapped over Gino's head, and then it's like 4th and 20 we're kicking. 4th and goal at the 20 that we're kicking a field goal. We get a stop. Actually, no. We punted, they punted, we got the field goal. Then we pick Josh Allen off for his first interception of the year. We take it to the 8. What do? Geno Smith gets his foot stepped on 4th and goal at the 1. And then the game was basically over from there. It was never close after that because Buffalo just went and scored. Um, just when you get only like 32 yards rushing on offense, that's unacceptable. And I'm not even going to blame this defense because the offense did nothing to help them out. So just bad game. Not much else to say. So
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I was trying to go quick, and then honestly, there was just more shit I had to bring up. So, oh well, didn't take that long at all. All in all, the Eagles have finally woken up. The Bengals are who I thought they were. They're frauds. Jameis Winston is Cleveland's hero. Who would have thought that benching Deshaun Watson or him getting injured would have led to Cleveland actually having an offense?
it's
Oh,
almost
that's
like the
right,
whole
everybody.
it, almost like the whole league said that Deshaun Watson was washed.
Oh yeah, exactly. And Nick Chubb's back too. So I mean, the Cleveland offense should only take strides from here. Um,
Also,
what's new with Detroit? Nothing.
okay,
Um,
there's
oh,
two people on this podcast. Hold on.
I was trying to go quick.
Well, give me a chance to respond. So for the Giants, so how are we feeling about Saquon Barkley now? You're not
I
gonna
don't think that I don't think the Giants are on this podcast. You said to the Giants.
well, still, you could have said whatever. Yeah, it sucks
I
for
mean,
not taking
I
back
love him for
Saquon
my
Barkley.
fantasy team, if that's what you want me to say. So I'm 7-1 in fantasy now.
Cool story. Um, yeah, Detroit basically just manhandled Tennessee. Um, onto the Miami game. Miami, you choked it. And then Arizona, where is this offense like every other week? I don't understand.
They just strung together back-to-back wins, though, didn't they?
Who did they face?
Right?
Did they win last week?
I think so.
They beat the Chargers 17-15.
Yeah, because it was the field goal game for the Chargers. Yeah. So the difference, though, between that game and this game, and it could be because he was hurt, I can't remember, is they used Marvin Harrison Jr. in this game. Gee, I wonder what happens when you actually use the receiver that you drafted in the first round. It's almost
Actually, it's
like him being
McBride
scared.
that had their most yards of 124.
Well, yeah, National Tight Ends Day. A lot of tight ends actually had the highest yards.
But then Marvin
So
Harrison had 111 yards on 6 catches as well. So, Miami, your secondary sucks.
yeah,
Aaron Rodgers, welcome to the suck party.
the New York Rogers, yeah, they're not doing well, and I don't know who else they have left to fire. Um, I really do think though they need to be buyers at the deadline too. I really think they could use a wide receiver. I think that's really a point of emphasis on that team that they need a depth piece there. They clearly don't have any, so I think that would fix their whole team. Um, New
They're
England
just running out of
sucks.
pieces.
Exactly. New England sucks that Drake May's hurt, but you got another dub, and against the Jets, you got to be happy about that. So
Jacoby Brissett has the clutch gene.
he does. Um, Atlanta, Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is just too injured. Like,
Yeah.
that's all I got to say about that. I don't think that game was necessarily how good Atlanta was. It's just how injured Tampa Bay was.
And honestly, that game, that score's a lot closer than it was because there was parts of the game where the Falcons were way ahead. Tampa
Mhm.
Bay just made like a real quick comeback at the end and then just fell short.
Yep. Packers barely escaped the Jaguars, but every team gets a vote. So,
Jordan
because we're
Love
probably going to lose to the
escaped
Jaguars.
injury. Reportedly, it's going to be through the week to see how he's progressing, depending on how if he plays versus Detroit. They say if he does miss the Detroit game, that should be the only game he misses because their bye week is after the Detroit game. So he'd be back after the bye week. But so far, he's not been too healthy so far this season. So we'll see how that progresses. I don't know if it's just the injuries are piling on themselves where like especially when it's a leg injury you're favoring your other leg and
Yeah.
then your body just starts getting in a imbalance and that just brings more injuries which tells me they brought him back way too fast um so we'll see what happens hopefully I know you would rather have the Packers completely suck, but hopefully for the rest of the season, he can at least be on the field if he's not playing great.
Yeah, I don't want to have them suck through injury. I want them to suck just on the field. So, um, but yeah, I mean, avoid a major injury. It was a groin injury versus a ankle injury. So, I mean, you just got to hope they're not related in any way.
Which was
But before I forget,
weird the way the injury like from the replay, it didn't seem like it was a groin injury.
yeah,
But I guess you don't really know what's happening there when you're moving around like that. Speaking of sucking on the field, Colts
yeah, I was
mentioned
about to say, congrats Baltimore for getting Deontay Johnson for nothing. Um,
I was gonna
did not have to give
say
up anything for that. And then now Houston, Stephon Diggs is now out for the season.
I was gonna say with Richardson getting benched.
Gotcha.
Um, though he only has like a 44% completion rate so far this season, which is bad. Um, like one of the worst in NFL history. It's just one of
Hmm.
those things. I feel like if he was able to stay healthy last season, we wouldn't see it this season, just because he would have been able to get through those pains last season. And a lot of us would just say, okay, he's still a project. It's year one, where this year you're thinking, okay, he should be ahead of schedule, not what he should have been looking like or what he would be looking like last year. Um, and it's one of those things, Indianapolis has a squad that should be competitive, but they just weren't able to get it done against Houston. You had Richardson go out for a play because he was tired.
Hmm.
We see tons of quarterbacks scrambling around for their lives, and we don't see them have to go out for a play because they're tired. And in
I
the
mean,
NFL,
I
you just
saw it on a
can't do
YouTube
that.
video. Just say you've got cramps or something. Like I pulled something, I have a cramp, something like that. Just don't say you're tired. That's the one thing you can't say.
Or even like
Um,
even if it was you're tired and you need a break, just don't even say that to the damn reporters because the media is going to run with that like wildfire. Because that
yeah.
means you're not in shape for football season. And
Or it means you don't care enough for your team.
he
Either
doesn't,
way.
I need to see more before I could go to that extent. I think it's just one of those, I think the injury probably did a little bit of damage to his fitness. And I think that's causing this type of issue because he's also been injured several times this year. So I wonder if that's just like he's not being able to practice and keep his body in shape through the
Yeah.
injuries. So I wonder if that's a part of it. Don't want to speculate too much, but yeah, Houston loses Stephon Diggs, so
Mhm.
just an
And that
ugly
covers the
game.
news that I wanted to bring up. So that was good. That's all the breaking news stories from today.
New Orleans, you are still in hell.
Another very injured team. Yeah. But yeah, I don't really know what they're doing anymore. Um, Chargers, eh. I mean, I still it's been 8 weeks, and I still don't know how I feel about the Chargers.
Yeah.
So,
Which they
um,
actually passed for 279 yards, where we were like, oh, yeah, they're not going to be able to throw the ball. But this is also against New Orleans, which New
yeah,
Orleans has sucked since week two.
right.
Um, Carolina just sucks. They trade their wide receiver to, or Deontay Johnson to the Ravens. Denver, congrats, you got a
Mm,
free win. KC, congrats, you got a free win.
mm. Oh, and Sean Payton was being a real mm, to Carolina, pulling out all the trick plays and then saying they're not a good team. We had to do that to get prepared for a real team next week. Like he's just I do not like that man.
So Chicago, do you want to talk about it? Because that's the one thing you cannot do in the NFL or even college football in general is gloat too early. We've seen so many instances of where one team is celebrating and doing all this shit before double or triple zeros, and then they fall on their face. And the guy that was celebrating too early was the one that
Tipped it
like
up.
smacked the ball back in the air behind the pile to the receiver. I get cornerbacks want to get ints, that's their main stat, I get it. Bat the ball down.
Yep.
Just,
End the game.
you can get ints any other point of the game. And at that point where the whole main thing is for the ball to hit somebody's hands, to bounce off of somebody's head, just for chaos and confusion. We saw this happen with Russell Wilson and the Commanders with the Broncos game last year. Just bat the ball down. That's all you got to do.
Yep.
And
I
then
will
things
say
like
at
this
the very
happen, and you look like a dumbass. It's
before I give you a
embarrassing.
question about that.
Hmm?
Um, the one thing I will say is at least he did come out and address like that he knew what he should have done. He got caught up in the moment. Um, that he's going to work on himself to be better and everything. Like at least he acknowledges his mistake at the very least and comes out and says it versus just saying like, "Nah, I'm still the shit" or whatever. But
But here's
he
my
claims
one
that
issue.
he was cheering with Bears fans, not taunting Commanders fans. Does it make a difference
No,
to
no,
you, Matt?
not at all.
Yeah, doesn't make a difference to me
You,
either.
you can
Can't
do
celebrate
that.
for triple zeros.
You can do that when the game is over. There's plenty
Yep.
of time after the game because it takes hell of a long time to get everybody off the field. You can go celebrate with the fans afterwards. Yes, you're on the field. If you are on the field, the only thing you should be paying attention to is the snap. It took like 5 seconds for him to even realize the snap had gone off.
Yep. And
It,
not only was he the guy that ended up tipping it and needed to be in the pile, he was also responsible for Noah Brown, who caught
yeah,
the
he was
touchdown.
responsible for the man that caught it. But here's my one thing. I get the point you're trying to make of he came out and accepted responsibility. Great to
That's
see.
just my at the very least. Like he's 99% bad in this game, but the 1% is like he owned up to it. Because there's some players who wouldn't own up to that.
But the
That's all I'm saying.
unfortunate thing for him, this is something that shouldn't happen anyways.
Oh
It's
yeah.
one thing if you had a bad play where you got burnt or something like that happens, or you make a mental mistake somewhere along the line. Something like that should not even occur. That's JV ball type shenanigans. You get paid millions of dollars to do that and you're celebrating too early. Just to me,
Yeah.
that's unacceptable. And if we want to talk about unacceptable, Dallas's defense, 21 straight points in the third
They
quarter.
had him in the first half.
It was 10-6. And honestly, it was 10-3. And I thought, okay, maybe Dallas has a chance. You and me switched our picks back to San Francisco after the
I
injury
never
report.
left San Fran.
Huh?
I never left San Fran. I picked him. I never
Okay, well,
switched to
we were
Dallas.
talking about injuries may be a factor in our choices.
Oh yeah.
But San Fran was down 10-6. Debo went out again during the game. That man's not been able to stay healthy at all this year. The only guy they had left was Kittle. And you give up 21 straight points in the third quarter.
Gorendo, man. Don't sleep on that third string running back.
Uh,
He will tear you up.
Cowboys just
Um,
fire the whole damn franchise into the sun at this point. And I
they
better not
should.
hear anything about
And
Jerry Jones this week
the
because the man
play
just
calling about in the end when you have what was it like two over 2 minutes left and you pass the ball 4 times.
miss all of them. Well, here's the thing:
Yeah.
you can't run the ball.
So I get it. Like the run game's ineffective, but like how do you get to the point where you're doing that? It's insane. To the point where like you miss on all four of them. I
It's
mean,
when you only have
probably
one
just
wide
trying to force it to
receiver.
CD, but
You only have
yeah,
one wide receiver.
only one. But
Because Dalvin Cook had 6 carries for 12 yards. Ezekiel Elliott, 10 carries for 34 yards. They had a total of 56 yards on 19 carries, 2.9 yards per carry. Their longest was 11.
yeah,
So you take
I will
that
say
down
San Fran's
to,
D line is healthy again. I think.
but here's my thing, Tyler. This isn't just the San Fran game. This is every single game this season that they've been dominated in. Because yeah, this score is pretty close. But if we were to take out the first half and just have the second half, they got dominated.
Hmm.
Like you can't do this to because oh Dallas is going to the Super Bowl. Dallas is going to be a playoff team. Right now, hell no. Right now, I give the Eagles a better shot to get the playoffs.
Absolutely.
Like right now, you're not even the second best team in your division. And the only reason you're not fourth is because the Giants are a team. Oh. And I hate they get all the attention because of how popular they are.
Yeah.
Because they don't deserve it. No bad team like this, like we wouldn't be talking about really Cleveland. We don't talk about Arizona. We we don't talk about Tampa Bay. We don't talk about Jacksonville. We don't talk about New Orleans now. We don't talk about Carolina. We don't talk about Las Vegas. Don't really talk about Chicago other than Caleb Williams. Like we don't talk about the Giants. Dallas sucks. And Jerry thought using the same team that got absolutely dominated at home in the wild card game in the playoffs against the Packers last year or last season would be any good. And not
Yeah.
only did he not bring anything in other than Eric Kendricks and their picks, they got worse. They lost more people than they gained. Yeah, those
And they
pieces were.
hired Mike Zimmer as their DC.
Yeah. Uh, Speaking of bad NFC East teams, New York, you kept the game close. That's all I can really give you. Um,
Yeah.
Russell
Steelers
Wilson,
football. The Steelers football.
honestly, Russell Wilson's playing. I know it's only 2 games and it's only against the New Jersey teams, which aren't great, but he's
He's
looked
look
pretty well.
he's looking good. Yeah. Both
Like,
quarterbacks have looked good for Pittsburgh. So
because I'm watching some of those passes now, you have some of the Russell Wilson BS magic of he'll be ineffective for 80% of the drives, but those 20% are going to be the greatest 20% of drives you've ever seen. But I'm watching some of those moon balls and some of those passes, and it's like, okay, if that's what Tomlin was seeing in practice, I understand why he was so Russell's our quarterback, even though Justin Fields. Because the thing about Justin Fields, he doesn't put that velocity or the air under the football to get it into the moon ball, and he won't really send it down the field. Russell sends it down the field to get the play action to work that well, where you bring in the linebackers, maybe full the safeties, and you hit them deep. Justin Fields
yeah.
wouldn't hit them deep. That's kind of where they were missing before Russell got in. And now, because I think Justin Fields only had like 40 yards in play action, Russell has like a buck 10. like a
Hmm.
buck 40. So we're gonna see how actually or how good this Pittsburgh squad is after their bye week because they go into like all of their division games, a whole hell of a lot of good teams they face, including the Chiefs. So we'll see how this team actually is. But right now, I'd keep with Russell. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, either way, they've got dynamic playmaker. You got Russell who can stretch it deep, all three phases, all three distances of the field, and you've got Justin Fields as a dual threat. So I mean, Justin Fields can take some time to learn from Russ. You really got two quarterbacks that can get you there if one goes down. So
If you could
yeah,
get Russ to teach Justin Fields how to get the ball down the field, and Russ says, okay, after this year, he's done, Justin Fields could actually be a really good quarterback. He just needs to actually take this opportunity to learn, which he just never got
absolutely.
the chance to in Chicago.
I've said that with all rookie quarterbacks. Jaden Daniels is the exception.
Which I feel like that'll be the good thing in New England if they can actually get an offensive line. Jacoby Brissett's been in the league enough years now. He's not a great quarterback, but he's been in the league enough years to be like, this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do, and
Hmm.
give him a few pointers. Because Jacoby was actually pretty good on Sunday when he came in versus the Jets. But
Oh yeah, it was. He's
yeah,
a good journeyman. He really is.
you got anything to
Um,
say about the last game?
I want to do what now?
Do you have anything else you want to say?
No, I'm good. We can go to the other videos.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So stay tuned for our predictions and our power rankings videos to come out. We're going for a shorter week, but we already kind of went into more depth than we really wanted to. My bad for the start. So we'll see how we do in the next two videos, but we're gonna do a short week. Hopefully we come back happy next week. We say that every time, but maybe it'll actually be true. Who knows?
Probably not.
But keep Skull alive.
Peace.